Hello and welcome to Boatrek Live. I'm here with Sean again today, and we're going to be talking about the sixth episode of Star Trek Lower Decks, Terminal Provocations. And I'm a little distracted right now because I'm trying to get the link for the live stream. But yeah, uh, I don't. I personally thought this was the best episode of the series so far. So Sean, what did you think?
I thought it was the weakest.
Oh really? Oh, this is
There you go. Boom. I don't know.
Boom.
I wasn't so much impressed with this one. But it's just, you know how in TNG or in Voyager or Deep Space Nine, sometimes there are episodes that they're not bad, but
Yeah.
and like you enjoy watching them because you like the characters and the stories. Like the story is enough to hold the episode, so you're never bored or never frustrated. You just have a good time, but it's nothing that stands out to you.
Yeah.
And ultimately, there are a lot of episodes like that because that's what makes the show. Those are the episodes that, just generally speaking, make the show. And this episode felt like that to me.
What exactly about the episode, like, kind of made you think it was the weakest? What was the main aspect? Like, was it the guest guest voice actor Tim Robinson? He does the voice of his name Fletcher.
Oh, Fletcher. Yeah.
What did you think of him? I really liked him.
You liked Fletcher? I don't know. Fletcher was a bit much for me. This dude was like a lower decker of the lower decks.
Yeah, he's a bit of a simpleton. Yeah.
I think this episode was less focused. If I would have, I'm trying to put words on this. I've written no notes. I know nothing. I think the episode wasn't as focused as previous ones. Like they have a lot of, this feels like they had plenty of ideas that were fun in the writer's room.
Yeah.
And eventually they took them all together and jumbled them into a ball and said, this will be an episode because these are ideas that we have. And it's like, we're going to do the Badgie plot line in the holodeck. We're going to do a holodeck malfunction. And it's like, we're also going to do like a scavenger thing where, it's like diplomatic. And then we're going to do this lower decker of the lower decks. He's kind of like a simple guy. Are you a dollar? Yeah, I don't know. It feels like it was like a big jumble of all of these ideas. And we're going to do a sentient friggin' computer core, whatever it is. Yeah.
Well, I thought it really did pack a lot in there, and like there was a great deal of chaos going on in both stories, and the adrenaline and the excitement of the episode is part of the appeal, I thought. Let's just get into how the episode starts. So it has a cold open. Last week we didn't have a cold open, and they're doing all the humming sounds. I thought that was kind of cute. Probably not exactly.
Cute. That's the good word.
And then Ransom thinking like there was something wrong with them. Yeah. And then after the credits we get this. The Cerritos is at a junkyard, basically. It's been there for apparently 100 years, over 100 years. And I'm just going to bring up the name of the, the Drukmani, the name of the species. And I don't think we've ever seen these guys before. And the captain is voiced by Martok actor J.G. Hertzler.
Oh, really?
Oh, you didn't know that?
I didn't recognize his name.
I recognized his voice as soon as he started talking. I was like, "Oh, okay, that's the Martok guy."
Oh, okay, wow.
Yeah.
And they gave him one. They gave him one eye.
Yep.
Oh, wow.
In keeping with tradition, and we also see a TOS style cargo ship that we saw in the animated series.
Oh, yeah.
Way back in the day.
I was actually going to start checking the registry, like the registry, to see if it was the same ships as we've seen before or something. But yeah, I hate that design. I think it's just hideous. But I love the fact that it exists. It's so out there.
I love the fact that they put it in. Like Trek Yards was talking about yesterday when they were talking about predictions for this episode, that they're recanonizing TOS, that they're showing something from the TOS era and not reimagining it or tinkering with it too much. And
TOS? You're talking about the original series or the
I mean
animated?
TAS. Sorry,
Okay. The
correction.
animated series.
TAS. But even that era of Trek, they're staying like very truthful too.
With the
So
Vendorian, like everything's how it should
everything's
look.
there's a lot of respect for visual canon, and that really, I think the creators now at Viacom CBS are starting to realize with the reaction to Lower Decks how much fans appreciate not only like all the references, which there are a lot of in this episode, but just the visual continuity that you could place it in 2380 and you could believe it. I know it's a sitcom and it's a cartoon, but you could believe it's set in that time. The technology seems right, and just the ships. And right now they've made several references to TAS in the show, like many references. Somebody could do a whole video on just the TAS references alone.
Well, there's visual ones, and there's also like they talk about the Philosians in the last episode as well.
Yeah.
God, I need to see them. And
Sorry.
One's a crew member. They have a Philosian crew member. He's working in tactical. I need to see that. I need to see this guy with the uniform. Like, how the hell did they adapt a Starfleet uniform to him?
I don't know. So we got this character Fletcher, right? And he's a dumbass. He's like a bro. He's an airhead. He's a dunce. And but he's very likable. He's like the frat guy that everybody likes, but you can't really depend on him. So
I didn't find him likable. See, that's the thing. In the beginning of the episode, he was, but then I find that he becomes too douchey. He's too. I don't know how to put this. Usually, this kind of character, he does everything for you, and he doesn't realize that he's stupid. But this guy kind of feels like he's in it for him. Yeah. Like he doesn't really care about you.
Oh yeah, definitely.
And that kind of pissed me off. And so I'm happy that they got. I'm happy that they got rid of him.
And I like that he goes to the Titan. They mention the Titan. They don't mention but he gets fired, of course, right after. Yeah. They're working on this core thing, and they leave him alone to finish the work. And apparently something happens to him. We don't know what, but we find out later. But it's highly suspect. You know what I mean? Like, as soon as he tells the story, and I'm sorry, Tim Robinson is just like, he's a great comedian, and he has a show on Netflix called I'm gonna have to ask you to leave or something like that. Or it's like some long weird name. His voice inflections when he voices this character are very funny, and like he's just very emotionally all over the place. And so we get the B storyline, which is with Tendi and Rutherford. Tendi doesn't know how to spacewalk. She kind of breezed her way past the course or something somehow, and she thinks it was an error. She got a B for like spacewalking. So Rutherford's like, "Hey, go on the holodeck," and he mentions a bunch of things. Like he mentions Robin Hood. It's not just for Sherlock Holmes or Einstein or Cyrano de Bergerac, which is a reference to Barclay.
Yeah, he just starts quoting basically every TNG holodeck program that we saw.
Yeah. He also mentioned Sherlock, which is a reference to what's the name of that episode? Elementary Dear Data. And
Into Darkness with Benedict Cumberbatch.
And then we meet Badgie. And this is it. This is a riff on that old Microsoft clip thing that used to. I don't know.
It was the little clip
that used to, and it turned out to be glitchy and annoying and wasn't really a help at all. And it went down in history as this like the Jar Jar Binks of computer avatars or something, I guess.
This is the
So
most 90s thing that this show has done, right? It's almost like the show is set in the 90s. Like they're making it in like a time loop, like a timer.
yeah, it's
It's
like
like they're living in the 90s and they're making this show, right?
they're going. Yeah, this is an old ass reference. I can imagine this would go totally over so many people's heads in terms of like the actual what it is actually referencing. Of course, people will understand that the whole idea of Badgie is a holodeck program gone wrong, like Moriarty or something like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's a whole other layer to that too, right?
Well, I'm curious because there's like two of my colleagues at work that watch the show. One is older than me, so I'm pretty sure he's gonna know what this is. But the other one, she's younger. She's like 22 or something. So I'm gonna ask. Like, I'm curious to talk about this with her tomorrow because we always talk about the episodes, a day after.
Hmm. Did
And
you notice? Okay, sorry. Go ahead.
No, I was just wondering if she's gonna know what this is referencing.
Uh, did you recognize the voice, Jack McBrayer?
Who's that?
He's from 30 Rock. He's been in a bunch of stuff. He's
Okay.
mainly from. He's got that kind of like country accent.
Mm.
You heard him in the episode.
Well, I really like the voice. Like all of the voice acting is always impeccable in this show. Truly.
Did you find so you didn't like the fact that it's like a trope on the whole holodeck gone wrong thing? Because you knew they were going to do an episode about that.
I like that, and I knew that they were gonna do that. I just feel like it was. I'm not saying I wanted. I don't know. It's kind of like it's almost like I wanted more. And then I know that maybe it would have gotten too much. I just feel like they crammed too many little ideas and concepts into the same thing. Because there's really the scavenge thing, which I was interested about, but that's not important at all. Then there's the holodeck thing. There's this douche dude. There's the sentient friggin' or like the life form that they create. Everything happens, like all of it.
I love it. This to me was the standout episode I've been waiting for. There's probably going to be episodes I like more than this, but it's strange though because the last week's episode I still liked, but I was like, yeah, this is the weakest, and I'm like, wow, I was really impressed with this one when I watched it. And I'm impartial to Tim Robinson and Jack McBrayer too, right? So the fact that I hear them in the roles, and of course J.G. Hertzler, that's cool too. But I like them as comedic actors, and I like Tim Robinson as a comedian. And just listening to him do the voice, I thought it just went perfectly with this character. And I did like the whole the fact that he wanted to be smarter, and he plugs his brain into the thing, and you see on the circuits themselves like his distorted face. It's so stupid. Like that's the absurdity of the episode is just the biggest appeal because. Obviously, none of this could work in live action. Pretty much. Well, the captain versus the Drukmani is something that you could see happening in an episode. But yeah,
to be very honest, TNG is in my opinion not the best Star Trek show, but it's not too far off this kind of wackiness because. The damn friggin' in season 7 when the Enterprise becomes its own life form, and then it's got that big ball of colors that flies off into space. That's not too far off from this.
Yeah, that's a lesser episode of TNG.
It is
we're talking about that.
This episode of Lower Decks feels like a take on many lesser episodes of TNG. It feels like they took all of these wacky, strange ass ideas from TNG that never really worked, and they're like, let's just jumble them all into a ball of fun, I guess.
Yeah.
Of like adrenaline pumping fun, right?
Yeah, it's like if you're going to do a comedic take on Spock's brain, like this is not that, but you know what I mean. It's like let's take episodes like Moriarty, like the concept of just the very concept, even back in TNG, of a hologram becoming malevolent. In Dear Elementary Data, it makes more sense then because I guess. They say make him smarter than Data, but then the computer should know, its limitations even in that respect, that you can't create a hologram that's going to be self-aware unless you want it to be self-aware. And even if so, how could it control, the actual controls?
Well,
Would
the computer is limited in the sense that the computer itself is less smart than data. So can it even conceive something
Yeah,
weird?
that's a good point too. Yeah,
Anyway,
yeah,
but yeah, it's that kind of like if you were really to one day readdress that infamous Code of Honor episode, I would do it in Lower Decks. I would like straight up make fun of the episode, go back to the planet and just straight up make fun of it, make kind of like a mockery of the episode, but then use that, I suppose, to kind of comment on how far we've come in the way we make television and in the way we represent things. And Lower Decks is perfect for that. And this kind of feels like that. The friggin' stupidity of a holodeck character. But then I love Moriarty. I say this, but as a kid, I absolutely loved Moriarty becoming smarter than. And I still to this day think about someone has this thing with Moriarty just sitting on their desk somewhere, or he's in storage or something. Picard has
yeah. Well, apparently he's living inside that matrix for the rest of a natural life, I guess, or something. So
Yeah.
he's there with his wife or whatever. Did you the whole fact that they changed holodeck programs when they're running away from him? Okay, Badgie wants to kill Tendi and Rutherford because Rutherford kicked him or kneed him in the gut and like got mad at him and like that messed him up. And then of course the ship is getting attacked, which further messes up the program, I guess. So the Badgie turns psycho and tries to kill them. So they change holodeck programs to like Bajor, and he's
Bajor Marketplace or something. I think it is.
What did you think of the whole thing where he rips the guy's head off and then rips the guy's arm off? This is very violent.
I love that so much. I'm not one to revel in violence and gore. I like it when it's done in shows like the comedy gore in The Boys is so outlandish that it's fun. This was the same thing. You just don't expect it. You're like, okay, he's become a psycho kind of Badgie logo thing. You're like, all right, he's gonna. But then he just rips off the head of a Bajoran, and you're like, oh my god. But then it's fine because it's a holodeck program. If this had been a legit Bajoran citizen on Bajor, then I would have been mad. I would have been like, you can't just.
Oh, you can't. Okay, I'm gonna turn down the brightness and you can actually see it. Hold
Can
on.
you show that on the YouTubes though?
I don't care.
The animated gore.
rips the guy's arm off. Then right, like that's crazy. And although there was no eye violence that I could see, there was a threat of eye violence.
Ooh.
There was also a threat of slitting Tendy's throat and bathing in her blood. And he tells Rutherford that he's going to wear his skin. And this is fucked up because there are also beeps in this episode when Fletcher says, Mariner's going to blank your blank off.
She's going to cut off your dick.
I immediately assumed he said bite your dick off. That's what I thought.
Oh, really? Bite. Okay.
And I'm like, they maybe, I don't know, they're censoring too many words, I find. I mean, they can say God damn it and certain things, but, they bleep. Sometimes the bleeps cover the jokes, and I don't quite... The jokes wouldn't land as hard, and there's got to be an uncensored version of this. I mean, they go as far as to show somebody's head getting ripped off very violently. And yes, that's something you can do in Family Guy on network television, but I don't know.
It's animation. It's weird. They've got like different rules, don't they? I would like them to say less swear words, if I'm honest. It's not that I'm someone that doesn't swear. It's just that I think that they're going a little overboard with the... It's kind of like they eased us into it. And in the first episodes, they dropped a few. There were like a few F-bombs. Everyone talked about it. And now now it's just madness. I'd like them to like rein back on that and kind of just calm it down.
Well, I don't mind, say, like the F word or something, but like lesser curse words. But I know it's where it's jarring to they're like bleep bleep bleep, and if you think about it, I guess it's probably more cursing in this show than any other one. So that could be another reason why they're like, yeah, we gotta we got to bleep it. You know, bleeps are funny anyway, so blah blah blah.
In
Let's
these
just
6 episodes of Lower Decks, I think we've had more swear words than in the previous 54 years of Star Trek. Anyway,
Mhm.
I think that sometimes they're missing like occasions to, because the enemy, the bad guy, the Gorilla Man, says, like, he swears, but he swears in English, and so they bleep it out. It's like
yeah.
I guess it has less impact if he swears. You have to words have to like petah
Hmm.
years for us to understand that that's a swear word. And if someone says that, oh, you know, it's a swear word. Klingon, you know. But yeah, I don't know. I would have liked maybe an alien swear word or something.
I really like when they're in that the environment 80 or something, where it's all cold and it's all snowy. They're trying to freeze Badgie.
That's not a program that he has. That's like a base environment that you can just
Yeah.
load on the program. Yeah.
Yeah, it's. I thought that was pretty funny how they're fighting and he's saying all those evil things, and then
It's okay.
then he starts freezing. Yeah, he's like, "Oh, it's okay, my son," and
I'll rip your eyes out.
he's like, "I'm gonna cut off your foot. Shh, it's okay, it's okay." And then he breaks his neck, and it's like, and what does he say? Badgie says before he dies, "Diplomatic immunity." Is that? I don't know what it is with this show. This is the second reference to Lethal Weapon, or one of the Lethal Weapon movies, because the first or the second, no, the third, I can't remember. One of the episodes, the one where they're on the planet, she's in prison with Ransom, and they're talking about their scars.
Temporal Edict, isn't it?
Temporal Edict. And she's showing the scars. That's kind of a reference to Lethal Weapon 3. And if you've seen Lethal Weapon 2, at the end, the bad guy says diplomatic immunity and shoots Mel Gibson.
Oh, okay.
So I'm like, that's such a weird reference. Like, what does that mean? Diplomatic immunity. It's like so out of left field. It's like, I don't know.
I'm assuming that a lot of these things that are said or done are just like either inside jokes, or some of them might not even be like an inside joke between two people. Some of them is like one of the writers was like, oh, I got to put this in the show. It's fun. It means something to me. I'm going to put it in.
I'm interested to see now what other people think of this episode. I'm like, this is great. And it's like, and you know what people have been saying for the past 5 weeks or so, like, oh, it's getting better and better, or like, this is my new favorite episode, and this is my new favorite episode. And to me, it's been like steady. And the last episode was like, okay, still liked it. And this one's like a step above, I think, the rest. In terms, I watched it twice, and both times it's just like I probably had the biggest smile on my face. Just the absurdity of the whole Fletcher story, him being an idiot and plugging something into his brain to make him smart. Then the thing that the core pod or whatever it is becomes sentient and like attacks Boimler and Mariner and Fletcher at the same time. Actually, there's really 3 stories going on. That's why there's an A, B, and C plot, really, if you think about it.
Structured like that. That's the thing. Usually you like got 3 stories or 2 stories that go along at the same time, or maybe one morphs into another or something. This is just like this. It's almost like
they're all interconnected though.
Yeah, it's all like mini stories that happen, you know?
Fletcher's fuck up results in their shields draining too fast, and then they're not being able to get weapons or whatever, I guess. And then
like the monster attack in the hallway.
Yeah.
Eventually. But then it develops and concludes into it like ties into like the end of the episode where they actually save the day.
Yeah. Well, technically it's Mariner and Boimler that save the day, but Fletcher gets credit because it's his stupidity results in this series of events, basically. And I like the fact that one of the reasons I really like this episode is that it's not one of these things where Mariner's ragging on people too much. It's kind of like Boimler and her working together to help this moron. And, the way they react to him, like, they get to a point where, like, yeah, dude, you're our friend, but, like, come on. And then at the very end, when he's calling them back, he's like, yeah, I got fired. What does it say for putting garbage in the warp core? It burns up anyway. And they're just like, yeah, we pretending like there's interference. Like, yeah, we're not gonna help you get back here. Like, you've done enough, pal. Like,
But I mean, okay, so he's fired, as in he's no longer in Starfleet, or did Riker just throw him off the ship? Like, I don't want you here.
yeah, he's either he's. I don't think he's fired from Starfleet. I don't think it'd be that harsh. But
Starbase 80, whatever the hell Starbase 80 is.
Starbase 80 is apparently some shitty place nobody wants to go to. So that's probably where he'll end up. At Starbase 80.
Yeah, I like the idea of Starbase 80, just some shit pile, crappy ass station where no one wants to be. No one goes there.
And we got one viewer now.
Oh wow.
Hey viewer, tell us who you are.
We're being viewed.
We're being viewed by a person.
How you doing, viewer?
So would you say this is the first Star Trek Lower Decks episode that you would give a no out of 10 to?
Oh no, absolutely not.
Okay, good.
Absolutely not. This is okay. There were plenty of episodes of Voyager that I couldn't even remember. Just like trying to think of them, or same thing for TNG, or same thing for Deep Space Nine. And it's like when you show me an image or you tell me like a brief description. Oh, that episode. And they're not episodes that particularly stick with me.
Yeah.
But there's still episodes that I enjoy and that I watch. And when I go through the entire series, like they're not, they're not things that I'll skip. Some episodes are boring as hell. Like they're not terrible, they're just boring. You're like, oh my god. I don't think we'll ever get a boring Lower Decks episode. I don't think that's possible. It's so fast paced and it's only 20 minutes. Like you can't really, like if they would have pulled that off, it'd be a feat in itself, wouldn't it? But yeah, no, I would absolutely recommend the episode.
Yeah, Fletcher's my favorite guest star. I really didn't like Boimler's girlfriend from last episode. She was a real downer, and Mariner was a downer too, in a way. But like,
it was different. She was a different Mariner, but this was an even differenter Mariner. This was the Mariner that I liked the most, actually.
Yeah, well, that's what I was going to say. As the show goes on, I've liked every episode, of course. Different opinions on different ones, like the last one, maybe the weakest in my opinion. Not a bad thing, but I actually am more and more liking Mariner. I think they're developing her and Boimler's character a little more succinctly than I thought they would, because I figured there would be too much of her ragging on him and them fighting and her having to bail him out. I like the fact that they work together to help this dude. And I also like the fact that we don't get a lot of her and her mother in the last couple episodes, because I didn't want that to be a thing, like the mother-daughter drama. So the fact that they're branching out and they're not really spreading themselves thin in terms of characters, but they're very. I find the show's very good at giving each character enough screen time for something that is only like 20-something minutes. And every episode, it's like every scene and every shot is essential because it has something to do with some other part of the episode. Like you don't watch any kind of scene, I don't think, in this show so far where it's like, well, that's arbitrary. I mean, that's what the cold opens are for. It's like an off joke that really has nothing to do with anything else. Yeah. Put it in the cold open, then everything else is pure story.
That's the thing.
That's what I like.
When we were talking about Better Call Saul, and we were talking about how like everything in Better Call, like, every scene and all of the dialogue, everything that they show you in Better Call Saul has a purpose. It's there for a reason. You know why it wasn't cut. You know why they didn't write it out of the script. You know why it's there. It's the same thing for this. Of course, it's very different. Better Call Saul is like a 40-minute live action drama. This is only 20 minutes, and the importance of each scene is like the reason why it's important is different. But yes, every single thing that you see, every interaction between Tendi and Rutherford has a purpose. I really hope they're not going to put Boimler and Mariner together.
Yeah, I don't know about that now. Probably not.
Episode where I felt like she has this moment when they're walking in the corridor at some point when she says something like to the effect of, I don't know, I don't want them to go in that direction, and I don't want them to do the thing where they try but they break up just to add like that extra drama. We have enough drama in the show as it is.
Yeah. One last thing before we go. I don't want to keep you too long. I know you gotta take a nap. You've been hard at work, but the whole thing with the captain and trying to be extremely patient with these guys. I didn't find it really funny, but I liked the concept of the captain being very patient or being very patient with somebody who's very antagonistic. And these guys don't have weapons, but they're literally throwing shit at the ship with their tractor beam, and the captain's just
It's
like,
an amazing idea.
yeah. I like Shax though. Shax is like, come on, let's fire on them.
I've been good this month.
That's a good line. I've been good this month.
I have a question, and I don't know if this is only a me thing. I am not a fan of the hashtag We Are Starfleet. This will tie into the show here. I'm not necessarily I let people live, and I won't tell people not to use the hashtag We Are Starfleet. But I think it's very reflective of the way Star Trek Discovery has the tendency of saying but not doing. They always say that they're Starfleet, they say that they're explorers, they say that they're peaceful, but the show never does any of that.
Yeah.
And so that was one of the problems and one of the gripes that I had with Discovery. Moving into season 3, it might be a whole other discussion, but as it stands, and so We Are Starfleet, I feel is like reflective of that hashtag. And so to me, it's not a necessarily positive thing. In this episode, Mariner has a moment where she's like, "We are Starfleet. We are Starfleet." She's having this moment where she's having this speech, and it gets absolutely cut off, like, and they move on to something else because like they get attacked or they have to do something. And I'm like, are they taking a stab at that, or is that just me imagining it?
I don't know. Or
was it simply just a fun reference to the fact that We Are Starfleet has become kind of a meme or kind of a thing in the community nowadays?
I've never, the whole We Are Starfleet thing, I've seen it. I've just never given any thought. I'm like, oh, that's just a thing some Trek people say. And I didn't even, did that come from Discovery?
Yeah, because there's like a whole Burnham speech where she says,
"Oh yeah,
right,
yeah." She's definitely gonna have a similar speech in season 3. Is like, Starfleet is not about the ships; it's about the people, and it's gonna be a whole thing. The Captain Freeman acts like a Starfleet captain should in this episode, and that's what I like, even though it is played for comedy.
But she's all over the place. That's a big problem with the show. Captain Freeman has no character traits. She's just what we need her to be. Have you seen Dexter?
Yes.
You've seen like this 8 seasons.
I've seen it. I watched it while it was on, and it's been a while since I last saw it. Yeah.
There's this. I think the captain or the chief of police or whatever she's called. She's called LaGuerta. I think
LaGuerta. Yeah.
Right.
She's all over the place. Yeah, I know.
Character changes entire. Like they could have taken another actor to play this different character every season because we need her to be antagonistic this season. We need her to be a brat. This season she'll be nice. She just all over the place, and that is a big problem with the show. The show is good, and Freeman's the same thing. Like if they need Freeman to be second fiddle to the Mariner plotline, then they'll do that. If they need her to be the jerk captain, then she'll do that. In the previous episode, she was very professional, and she managed to deal with the moon situation. In this one, she was good. She was like full on Starfleet. Let's not attack. Let's not do anything. In other episodes, she's like very dismissive of the lower deckers. It's kind of strange. It's kind of a shame. I feel like that it's a detriment to the character to play for comedy so much.
I think maybe as a character, it's all about her temper kind of getting the better of her. Because like in this episode, she exercised a lot of patience, but you can see like she's always like yelling and like she's very.
Yeah, well, they draw her tense up. She's all like crisped up. And,
she's tense but yeah. She reminded me of kind of a Giorgio in the pilot of Discovery, where
Prime Giorgio,
where she's doing everything not to provoke the Klingons or the situation, and Burnham is the one who mutinies against her and betrays her. But Giorgio's attitude in that episode is the way a Starfleet captain should be. And yeah, I get what you're saying about Freeman. She can kind of be all over the place, but I see her as just she has a bit of an anger problem. But like in this one more than ever, I see the good captain in her. Basically, I don't know.
Yeah. Well, the same way we see, I said Burnham, I mean Mariner. She has similar issues to Mariner, being her mother. She raised. I'm assuming that
Yeah.
it kind of reflects on how she raised her daughter, etc. But yeah, as we see the good officer in Mariner, we also see the good captain in Freeman. It's just that she won't be getting the Titan anytime soon. Like, she's gonna have to stay on the Cerritos. She won't be getting no Vancouver.
Yeah. I also like the fact that Boimler's, he's not getting crapped on in this episode too much.
Yeah, he's good. He's useful.
I think I could be wrong, but I think there's one line where Mariner's like, I wouldn't put people in danger, and she's like, well, maybe Boimler sometimes. And I was like, that's the biggest shot they had of Boimler, I think, in that whole episode. But it's good to I don't mind the whole Boimler being the butt of the jokes. I just don't want it to be in every single episode all the time, and I don't want Mariner to be shitting on people and talking about how much better she is than anybody, which is fine for comedic effect in the earlier episodes. But it feels like the characters are growing on me, and it feels like the characters are growing themselves. Like, it's strange. What? Say again? Sorry.
There's been a lot of character development for just 6 episodes of like a 20-minute show. It's because there's not that, like, Solar Opposites was 8 episodes, I think, the first season.
Yeah,
there's not nearly this much character development in those 6 episodes.
There's more character development in the B plot of Solar Opposites with the little people. There's more. There's actual like growth and development with that out. But like, yeah, it's true, man. It's like this a fucking animated show, dude. And I'm liking the characters more than I did in, not to shit on the other stuff, but I'm liking these characters more than. I like the Discovery cast. I like some of the Picard cast, but I really like the Lower Decks cast.
In defense of those live action shows, because people might think I shit on them all the time, but in defense of like Picard and Discovery, those shows, due to their nature, like, they have serialized nature, which means they do have like an actual story they have to tell from beginning to end throughout the season, which means, yes, sometimes you need to put some character development to the side and focus on your actual, main plot and your main story. Whereas here, every single episode every single story to the episode, it's just, it all serves as a vehicle for your characters, right? So you can focus more on your characters, and I understand that. It's just that still, I am way more attached to any of these people than I am attached to the people from Picard, or like, I'm not even attached to Picard in Star Trek Picard. I don't even know who that is. Strangely, and here I absolutely love Rutherford, Tendi. They're amazing. I hope we get more of them together, the 4 of them. I like the group, and we don't, in my opinion, we don't have enough of their like 4-way dynamic. Like, the only times we really see them together is, are they eating sometimes, or maybe mostly just in the quarters, like in the corridor.
Yeah, like just casually, but as in terms of an actual adventure where the 4 of them are always together, that is yet to come. Don't worry about that.
Yeah, I'm assuming, but I would like to see that more. But I'm complicated like this. I understand that they don't do that because it doesn't make as much sense. Like, the same way we always some of us complain about how it doesn't make sense to always have the same bridge officers do everything in like other Star Trek shows. It wouldn't make sense to have these 4 unrelated lower deck officers always be at the same place, right?
Yeah, and that's another give credit to the writers and Mike McMahon for balancing out the characters, and that's a really good point you just made. It's like, it would kind of be so stupid if you had every single episode where they're all together and they all are in the same situation.
Yeah.
This one they even branched off with this guy you've never seen before. He might have been in the background in previous episodes, but Fletcher, and then he's gone by the end. So like I even thought he might be a new addition to the cast. I'm like, will they keep this guy around? Will he be like a part of the
No.
team now?
Oh God.
But I guess people like you who don't like him would be like, yeah, thank goodness, right? But I wouldn't have minded if he stuck around. I really like his
I
character.
guess they could have made him grow. Andy in the office. With the first time you meet him, you're like, oh, what is this dude? And then they change his character. They grow him. He becomes better until he becomes the worst thing in the world. But
who's Andy again? Andy from The Office. I've only seen like a scattered episode. Andy from The Office.
He's someone that Jim meets when Jim goes to another office. Like they meet.
It's not Rainn Wilson, is it? No, okay, never mind. Ed Helms. Yeah, I know who you're talking about now.
Yeah,
I really don't like that actor. No offense to him personally. I just never liked anything he was in or any part that he's ever played.
You are like the 7th person I know that when I talk about him, you say that, which is bizarre. So many people like, I don't like that actor.
Strangely enough, I find some people don't like the guy who voiced Badgie, Jack McBrayer. Some people say his voice is grating. And I'm like, no, I think he's a hoot. But Tim Robinson, man,
I very much like Ryan Reynolds. I'm sorry, Canada.
What'd you say about Robert?
Ryan Reynolds?
What'd you say about him?
I don't very much.
I missed it.
Oh, there. Okay. I don't very much like him.
Oh.
I thought you were doing a joke, like you're Canadian, you're offended. Yeah, no, I don't know. I find him a bit obnoxious sometimes, but whatever. I like him. He's not doing jokes. Ryan Reynolds had this thing when coronavirus really started, and so he shared a message. Like he sat down, he put his glasses on, and he read a very serious message about wearing masks and staying protected and staying indoors. And when he did that, I was like, hey, Ryan Reynolds knows how to be a guy. And I was impressed by that. I don't like his, I suppose, comedy. Anyway, that is completely unrelated.
I just want to, before we go, I want to give a plug to Tim Robinson's Netflix show, which I'm actually going to rewatch probably sometime today or tomorrow, because I don't know, it's my type of comedy. It's the kind of shit that like makes me actually laugh. And there's also another Tim Robinson show I'm going to mention too that I haven't seen that I want to watch that's on Crave called Detroiters. Haven't seen that yet, but the show I'm recommending is a show called I Think You Should Leave. And there's one particular sketch about him giving a gift to somebody, and it's about a receipt. That's all I'll say, but it's fucking hilarious. I think you should leave. It's a highly recommend. I don't think it's gotten a second season. I think it was canceled or something because it's so bizarre and just like bonkers. But yeah.
Oh, it is. Anyway, renewed for the second season.
Oh, is it?
But there's only 6 episodes. Okay.
Yeah, it's pretty tightly. It's not. There's not a lot, but you can kind of get through it in a day very easily.
Blue is disappointed because it's ending. Yes, we are ending.
Is that Blue Spark? Blue Spark? You notice that spelling? I don't know. I don't know if it's saying it right.
I wouldn't know how to pronounce that.
Yes, it's ending. It's ending at 40 something minutes. You can go back and watch the beginning of but yeah, we appreciate any viewers or likes. I don't know, the last video I did, right? I did the live with Starfleet Boy, and I cut out the segments of us I cut out a segment of us reviewing the trailer for Discovery Season 3. That got a few hits, and then I cut out the segment of us reviewing Lower Decks, and it's a very half-assed kind of review of it. It's like a Twitter video that kept freezing on me and stuff, right? So it's a shitty video, really. And yeah, it got like almost like more thumbs down, I think. But man, it's my most viewed video on this entire channel.
Okay.
I'm like, that's strange. It's like, yeah.
The algorithm. Let it be.
Weird.
You didn't like our buddy Blue here says that
Like Spark.
he didn't like all the blood and gore in this episode.
That was weird. It was just weird all of a sudden when you just see him just pull the guy's head off out of nowhere. You're like, oh, okay.
Well, I appreciate that it was done in the holodeck. Like if it had been done on the surface of a planet, I wouldn't have liked that.
Yeah. If it was a real person, it would be like fucked up. Yeah.
So I'm fine with it. And you know, we didn't see the space pirates or whatever. On a side note, okay, let's end on this. How right are the Federation for actually going and claiming that junk? Naval rules don't work like that. If that junk is floating out there, even if it's got your name on it, if it's been floating out there and it's been salvaged or claimed by someone, they have claim to that. You can't just roll and say, "Oh, it's mine."
Yeah, there is a bit of a gray area. I was thinking that when in the episode too. I'm like, really? This and even the Drukmani captain. By the way, Blue Spark, your Discovery trailer reaction with Starfleet was good though. Good too. Thank you very much for saying that. But yeah, I was thinking that as like, I think that captain's kind of right.
Yeah, and I feel like
how's it been there all that time and nobody's picked up on it or discovered it? I don't know.
Especially that it's a junk yard. Usually, when we see a full junk yard in Star Trek, there's like an owner. There's like someone that's like laid claim to all of this, and he's just like collecting stuff, and so he can trade things for you, whatever. This has no one. It's just like a big pile of whatever. Maybe there's like a density problem, and all of this stuff just accumulates like a sink.
Yeah, I guess that would be my only. If you're making me think of like nitpicks now, and yeah, I kind of get that. I agree with you there because I don't think they don't explain that well, and it's kind of brushed off like. And here's another thing: why would the old 100-year-old technology be so valuable anyway? I mean, but you know,
just and like she's willing to give him some sort of trade out, like they want to pay him, or like there's a finder's charge, like a finder's fee or a finder's recompense, whatever. They want to give him something.
Yeah,
like give him some crappy old ship. Let him leave within a cell or some shit, whatever. Like, do you even care about that?
Yeah, and then the captain could be like, you know, I could collect some old junk, or I could get some new fancy, I don't know, device off the ship or something. But yeah, what is the reward? They don't really say, do they? They don't really specify.
No, they're just like it's a finder's reward or something, and they're just like that. That's all it is.
Blue Spark says, "I'm only a DS9 fan. I don't like much else in Star Trek, but Lower Decks makes me laugh so much. It's very interesting." And yeah, I find it interesting that there are Trek fans, and if you're a fan of one Trek show, you're a Trek fan. You know what I mean? Like it's like if you're a fan of Lower Decks, then you officially now have become a Trek fan, even if you don't like anything else. But some people only like TOS and TNG. Some people only like TNG and DS9, and like don't like the rest.
Flavors.
Yeah,
they really do have different vibes.
DS9, I think, is the best. I've re-examined my assessment of that show overall in the last few years, and it's just TNG was up there, and it's a close second. But in terms of an overall show that has a coherent structure from beginning to end with beautiful fucking character arcs and just the emotional investment you have in the characters by the end when you watch it all the way through, DS9 wins by a landslide in that department.
Wife on the Tube, when we began Deep Space Nine, was like, I can't watch this show, it's ass. I'm like, not in those words, those are my words, but I was like, just give it a try. So I like the first season is really rough, it's fine. And she's like, I don't like this Kira. She's like, I hate her so much. I can't stand seeing her. Every episode with Kira, she's like, And by the end of the 7th season, she was like, Deep Space Nine is my favorite Star Trek. Kira is my favorite character. I'm like, wow, that came a long way.
I had the exact same feeling when I was younger, and even upon rewatching it like a few years ago, I watched it, like fully rewatched it after that or before the DS9 documentary. No, right after I watched the DS9 documentary. And by the way, the HD images in that documentary were amazing, and yes, it does deserve to be upgraded to HD. But yeah, Kira is a character at the beginning. You're like, she's in this gray area of morally gray area because she's a terrorist. She's murdered people, many people, but for good reason, I guess you could say, because she was basically oppressed by Cardassian, the occupation, and they were tortured and killed themselves. So she's really defending herself. So you're not really sure what to think of her at the beginning, and then seriously, by the end of the whole thing, you're fucking in love with her.
Yeah,
like you hate to see her go, and then when that whole thing when she leaves Odo, you're just like, this is the best ending of a fucking TV show ever. It really is.
And it's not like there's all this moral and kind of like ethical like conflict that you have in regards to who she is in the background, but she's also so obnoxious and so defensive in the beginning, right? Nana played her in a way where she's really defensive all the time because she's like all of these wounds and all of this past that she has is not so much the past. It's kind of raw. It's still there, but then she grows, and I'm gonna say something that's very human, but Starfleet kind of rubs on her. And the Federation and our ideas of what good ideals should be rub off on her, and she grows so much with that. Anyway, it's a great show.
Actually, you know what? After this live stream, I'm going to do what I did with Starfleet Boy and take this segment and cut it into a separate video on its own of like why Boatrek and Trek on the Tube love DS9.
Yeah, no, really, and as I say, I can confirm that it's Wife on the Tube's favorite Star Trek as of now. Maybe she's grown to like many other characters because as we watch Enterprise, she's become very, very fond of Captain Archer. But I don't know which is her favorite. But
that brief cameo from DS9, I love that DS9 cameo on last week's Lower Decks. Yeah, that put a big smile on my face.
I missed that the first time I watched it.
You blink and you miss it. It's only like literally 2 seconds.
I was staring at the Olympic class ship so much, and you had to point it out to me. Oh yeah.
I like that Lower Decks finds a way to be crazy, funny, but also a legit Star Trek show. The techno babble and the world is spot on. I agree with that. And look who else is here. Starfleet Boy. Oh God, where's my invite?
I'm leaving. I have to go to bed, guys. I have to go. I've been up since midnight working. Now I have to go to sleep.
Yeah. We got to give Sean a break here, folks. He's a hardworking dude.
Especially that I'm going live again at 2.
You just popped by to say hi. Well, hi, Starfleet Boy, and goodbye now because we got to go.
All right. See you, everyone. We give it a yes out of 10.
I give it a yes. I really liked it. You liked it. Star Trek Lower Decks is still on the path to glory. As I don't know what to say anymore.
And I'm going to be live at 6ish as well.
Yes, check that out.
Starfleet Boy. I'm live all day. My day is going to be live streamed. I can live stream my nap if you guys want, but.
All right, folks. Until next time, live long and prosper.
That's what they do. They got the